as a parent, to be able to turn around and say to your children, you've never been a parent before until you became a parent, and that you don't always know what to do, and you're not always going to be right, and sometimes you're wrong, I think is the greatest way to teach your children. And I had shared this recently on a podcast episode, and I also have mentioned this repeatedly in speaking events as I work with organizations, that it is okay for somebody in a position of authority to turn around and say, I don't always know what I'm doing, or I don't always have the answers, but I've seen the greatest change in my children's eyes when I walk into a room, I lose my temper, I scream, I shout, I throw out a big punishment, I do something out of frustration, because in that moment, I'm not in a good place, or I was caught off guard, or I was surprised, or I wasn't emotionally mature in the minute. And then 10 minutes later, I find myself again, the chemicals aren't dumping into my body, and I realize, wow, I just screwed the pooch. Then I go back and I say, hey, I'm really sorry. And I sit down on the floor, same height, and we have a conversation, say, man, I really messed up. Like, you made a mistake today, but mine was big because I yelled and I really shouldn't have yelled, and I shouldn't have spoken that way, and I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. And how did it make you feel? And we start to talk about that. And I just want to add that, so that when you think about how you were raising your kids, regardless of whether your kids are in their teens or whether they're in their 20s or their 30s, you can go back and say, hey, when I did it, that was the first time I was ever doing it. And I was figuring it out every step of the way.